Hey there, I'm Chroma, and welcome to part 13 of Making an Abstract Adventure. Welcome back. This time, we've done more work on our characters and how their abilities work underwater. So, starting off, let's just go in and show what things are looking like now. So, with our sphere character, actually, no, I'm going to show it first with our cube character, because it's more seeable how things have changed. So if we go underwater now we actually turn in the direction that we're moving, which looks kind of cool. Looks better for swimming, which will probably also look better when we have animations. However we go about doing that. And now most of our abilities should work better underwater. So starting with, well, I guess the crouch, that kind of works. We sort of, squish in the direction we're moving, which could maybe be useful for going, like swimming through like tight passages or something like that. We also have then, where is it? Our attack, which goes also in the direction that we're moving. And yeah, our stick ability is disabled because there's not really a way that would really be useful in this underwater setting. Yeah, and as well as wall jumping and all that. Being able to be hurt by hazards, that's all functional and works. So yeah, we have that now. And then with our sphere character, there's the same sort of thing, except you can't really tell that we're rotating because we're just working with a circle right here. But again, if we have an actual animations later on where this isn't completely symmetrical, like if our characters have faces or something, that'll be more apparent that we are turning. As well with our cube character, our lineup script, that also still works, and then we can fire the shurikens. And both with the shurikens and the attack, we don't have the air boost that we'd normally get if we are above ground and in the air. So that's disabled more or less. And with our sphere, the lineup and the air lunge, those still work. And yeah, we can't glide. That's been disabled as well because the glide is for falling slowly, and underwater that's not really something that needs to be done at all. But yeah, and as well, the attack on the sphere character is working as well. So yeah, so that's two abilities that we've sort of disabled. The others we've been able to get to work properly. Eventually, I might try to find things to just replace them with so that we still have more that we can do underwater. But we'll just see how that fares going forward when we actually start making water levels and all that. I might eventually also, I don't know, have something better for like being at the surface of water, because as you can see, it's a little not the greatest there. But again, that's more stuff that we'll see, because I don't really know at the moment how often we're going to be going from above water to in water and all of that. Anyways, so over on, well, both of our characters, there's now a, over here, our player swim script, there's now a rotation smoothing value on both of them. That is for the smoothing value of how it rotates. Basically, self-explanatory enough. Then as well, on the actual water itself, we, I've changed this to the water layer, just so that there are certain collision stuff that works better with being able to differentiate between stuff on the environment layer like the walls and all of that, and stuff on this water layer that is water. Mainly things with the attacking and all that. As well, on our attack colliders, speaking of, I've now made a new layer called attack collider that the attack colliders are on. And over in our project settings here, over under physics 2D, I've now also unchecked a few boxes here so that the attack colliders, the stuff on the attack collider layer does not interact with the water layer, because that was causing some issues, and is also basically the whole reason why we made I changed the water to the water layer as well. I've also made it so attack collider does not interact with another attack collider, and the player does not interact with the attack collider as well. For now, we'll see if this changes as we make more things like enemies and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, if we had some kind of multiplayer thing that would stop the players from like attacking each other, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how necessary that is going forward. But anyways, just making the water not interact with the attack colliders was the main thing that we needed that for now. But yeah, so that's how all that is working so far. So let's go into our code and show what's actually been changed to make all these abilities work. So starting off with our player swim, for the actual rotating in the direction that we're moving, we have this public float called rotation smoothing, as we saw over in the inspector. And then all the way down here, after we've dealt with getting the input and from the player in what direction we're going to be moving, and then actually moving in that direction, we're then getting the rigid body's rotation, which, because we're dealing with two-dimensional stuff, this comes out as a float, which is basically, if I go over back to Unity, is only really setting the z-axis of the rotation. Yeah, because we're only dealing in two dimensions. If we were dealing with 3D, then we'd have to do more stuff with quaternions and actually having three-dimensional rotation. But for now, it's only basically just changing one float value. And then how we're doing that is using the function mathf.lerp_angle, which we've dealt with linear interpolation before, with how we're basically getting something to smoothly move from one value to another. This basically works the same way. It's just having one float or one number slowly move from one number to another number. In this case, the current rotation to this here, which is the rotation that we want to be rotating towards. And then how we're actually getting that is using vector2.right, which is the shorthand for vector2 1, 0, and then the swim direction that we calculated up here, which is the direction that we're moving. So it's basically subtracting these to get the angle that we're moving, that we want to be moving in. And it's doing it based on vector2.right. I tried doing it based on vector2.up to move like the top of, for example, the cube to be moving in that direction. But I found that by using vector2.right, it made the colliders for the attack colliders, as well as the cube's crouch ability, works better without me having to recode a bunch of stuff with those. So that's how we're going to be handling that for now. And when we actually make animations and stuff, we will basically just make the swimming animations so that the sort of four directions of those is based on the right direction. So actually, okay, to better kind of explain this, I guess. So if we have our cube normally, let's just give it a random face. I have no idea what it's going to look like art-wise, if it's going to have a face or not. But if this is what it looks like when it's above water, we're basically going to animate it when it's below water by making the face kind of like this. And let's say if it was had... Oh god, that's not good. But if we had, for example, if it was more humanoid and had like arms that were doing some kind of swing motions, it'd be arms. Oh god, fingers coming out like this, and then sort of like going down that way, animation wise, and then I don't know, feet kicking, whatever. Yeah. So basically, we do the same kind of like animations if we're doing it in like a sprite sheet thing, just sort of having it be sideways. So yeah, that it should work fine. I haven't sort of planned how it's going to be done, but we'll get to that when we actually make animations. Still sort of deciding on art style stuff. We'll see, yeah, how that goes after we finish more of our prototype level thing. Anyways, then we are using the rotation smoothing as we made above, also multiplying it by time.delta time, so that we don't, if the game was paused, the time.delta time will be 0, so we won't be rotating while the game is paused. So then using all that, and then putting it into the rotation, to then be setting the rotation so that it's going towards that forward direction, or the right direction that we're making the right direction be facing the way that we're actually moving, as we saw. So yeah, that is basically how that is done, and I don't believe anything else was changed here. Then onto the circle main and square main scripts. Down here, the circle glide, it was up here with the rest of our update function stuff. I basically just moved into the else of if we're not swimming. Yeah, as well with the square main, I've done the same with the square stick thing. And then I believe everything else is the same here. Yes, so then onto the player attacking. The only addition here was just to stop the player from doing the air boost thing that would normally happen if we're in the air, by just getting a reference to the player swim, getting that reference in start, and then over when we attack in this big if statement of if we're not grounded and all that, of whether to to do the air boost. Just adding a, if we're not swimming, then we would do the air boost. But in this case, if we are swimming, then we're not doing the air boost. Simple enough. And then the square shuriken throw, the exact same thing. Getting the script here, getting the reference, and then, yeah, just adding the exact same thing to the if statement here so that we're not having a little boost if we're underwater. However, actually, with the square shuriken throw, we could potentially have something where we have the player get boosted in like the opposite direction of the way they throw it, so they kind of get a bit of a knockback. Maybe I just thought of that now. We'll see about that, because that might be a bit too jarring to do, especially if it was like in tight spaces or whatever, getting launched in like the other way into like hazards might not be good. But we'll see. We can try doing that later. But then onto our circle lunge slash. Actually, I don't think anything was changed here. Oh yeah, no, getting reference to the player swim, getting that reference. And then, oh, yes. So, in terms of being able to lunge slash multiple times, in terms of setting can aim to true, when we're not underwater, it's if we launch in the midair, then we wait until we hit the ground again to set can aim to true so that we can lunge again. Yeah, if we are swimming, the is grounded is going to be false because we changed the water to not be on the environment layer anymore, it's not going to make the player grounded again. So basically then just adding if we are grounded or if the player is swimming, then we'd set can aim to true to be able to air lash, lunge slash multiple times underwater. Yeah, so there's that. And then in the player lineup script, I don't believe anything was changed here. Yeah, everything should be the same. Yeah, because nothing really changed here. It was just how we were using the player lineup script to affect how we are aiming. And then the square crouch also didn't change. Although this was because the right direction of the square is facing the direction that we're swimming. Then when we like squish in half, then it's going in the way that we're swimming. Which hopefully that'll work with like swimming through tight spaces. But yeah, and then in terms of hazards, that just kind of worked successfully. I didn't have to change anything with that. I basically just grabbed the spike from over here, put them over here, and then just change the collider around a bit. If I can grab it wherever it is. It's the hazards, the temp spikes, yeah, down here. Basically just, yeah, as an example, hazard. Just testing how that was working underwater, and it seems to be working just fine. So that's all good. So now, yeah, for now we're basically done with water. And now it'll kind of be the case that anytime we make something new, we're just going to want to test to make sure that it works underwater without any big issues. But hopefully it should be fine. Especially making water on its own layer now will also hopefully avoid some problems with this being treated as something on the environment layer. Something with things like any projectiles that we're launching, things like that. Hopefully that won't be any issues. But yeah, so that basically does it for this episode. Next time, we're like on the almost done making our everything with our characters. We're like almost there. Actually, we basically are done. The next thing that I want to do is working on like interacting, like more of the players interacting with things. I don't know what that'll start off with. We could have like collectibles, but eventually this is actually going to be kind of our pivot into now moving away from our players and actually making more things for them to interact with, like, I don't know, buttons, doors to go to like other scenes, or like other parts of the level, stuff like that. Yeah, buttons, I don't know, any other like collectibles, anything they pick up like story-wise, like a key or something like that. Yeah, so in that case, other than just making the ability for our players to interact with something, which will basically just be a button press, yeah, now we're going to start moving on to things that aren't just our players. So 13 episodes in, we are done our players finally. So now we're going to be moving into making more actual level stuff, and then hopefully start kind of just making a giant test level playground of just all the different things that we can interact with. I kind of like just sort of moving the things we just made to the side to make new things, so we kind of get this big sort of level thing being made. It can also help maybe spawn new ideas for actual level stuff. But yeah, so that will do it for this episode. We're finally moving into actual new things, so that's pretty exciting. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you around.